Okay, so module 37, distribution of natural energy resources and fossil fuels. Our learning goals today are explain why fossil fuels and ores are only found in certain locations. Describe the advantage and disadvantage of fossil fuels, including oil extraction and fracking. And then finally, describe how fossil fuels are used for electricity generation. So fossil fuels are not found everywhere, believe it or not. They're only found in certain locations. Coal is only formed through organic matter becoming buried quickly. Places that were tropical areas like wetlands and river deltas millions of years ago are locations where coal is found today. Okay, so that wetlands and river deltas, those are things you want to remember for a quiz tomorrow, a test next week, etc., etc. Yes, mini quiz tomorrow over 35 through 37. Okay, so why would a wetland make sense to have a lot of energy built up there as far as coal and resources like that, oil? Okay, there's a lot of biomass, right? So wetlands, they have a lot of biodiversity as far as plant life, right? So if a tragic event happened and they all got buried without decomposing first, that would be what's turning into our oil. Does that make sense? Okay, so a tropical rainforest probably would be the same thing. A desert, probably not so much. An Arctic polar wasteland, not a lot of life going on there. The more life there would have been in that area, more likely there's going to be fossil fuels there. Does that make sense? Okay, remember that for a review, a quiz, a test. Who knows? Intent. Okay? The more life there would have been there, the better chance there is for having fossil fuels. Okay? Yeah, so those places are United States, Russia, China, Australia, and India. All those places would have had a lot of life a long time ago. Okay? Crude oil / petroleum is formed when ocean-dwelling plankton or microalgae. So watch part of that video today. It shows you the phytoplankton getting stuck in the sedimentary rock, and then that rock, which was the porous rock, gets covered by non-porous rock, so nothing can escape. So things aren't deteriorating; they're just dying and staying there. Okay, that's how it's turning into a fossil fuel. Oil is found in porous rock covered by non-porous rock. We just talked about that. Natural gas is typically found above petroleum. So would you guess that a liquid is lighter than a gas, or a gas is lighter than a liquid? Gas would be lighter than a liquid, right? That's why it sits on top. Okay. In some cases, natural gas is burned to prevent explosion. So that's what this image is. It is they're extracting oil or petroleum from there, and as they're doing that, they're burning off the natural gas sitting on top. Why would they want to do that? What are they trying to prevent? Explosion, right? So gas compressed, okay, with a little bit of flame would be a bad deal where they can burn it off a little bit at a time. They're reducing their risk of explosion. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes, Jeanette.
So they don't collect natural gas?
Sometimes they do. Some operations they do, but sometimes they don't. I don't know why. You think you just try to get all of it that you could. But if you've ever driven down the Gulf Shores through Mississippi, you can see those flames on the side of the road pretty regularly. That's what I notice when I drive through there. It's trees and natural gas burning. That makes sense to me. Okay, so oil consumption is about 4 billion gallons a day, which of that, the United States uses 21%. I could have done the math for you there, but I didn't. Sorry. Top producers of petroleum, as you guessed, it's all those places where fossil fuels are found. China, United States, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Canada. Okay. To be fair, most of those places are giant. United States, Russia, and Canada, and China are big continents, or big countries, so it makes sense they have more area. Right. Okay. So here's some disadvantages and some advantages to fossil fuels. So biggest advantage to coal is it is plentiful. Okay, there's a lot of it. It's very energy dense. We talked about it makes more sense to put gasoline in your car as opposed to a wood burning stove, right? Because wood takes up a lot of room and it's not very energy efficient. Whereas gasoline, you can get 300 miles, something like that, out of a tank of gas, which is about 10 to 12 gallons, right, on the average car.
Dang.
That's pretty good, right? Okay. Mining doesn't cost a lot. Okay, we found machines and people, they do it for pretty cheap. It's easy to move. You don't really have to worry about coal just exploding and catching on fire. Right? Okay. Disadvantages. We talked about strip mining, and mining in general on the sides of mountains is not very good for the environment. Okay. Can be dangerous, so mines tend to collapse all the time. If you've ever watched The Hunt for Red October. That's like what that movie is all about. Minus rockets. Okay. Coal can be harmful when it's burned. You have mercury and that kind of stuff that will leak into the air. I don't know if you know this, but mercury is poisonous for people. Okay, they used to make glass thermometers with mercury on the inside of them to tell what temperature your body was, and they would keep breaking, and people would get sick. And we wondered why. Well, mercury, like you can still probably buy that store. Okay, and then pollutants like sulfur dioxide and particulates are released through burning, which causes acid rain. Okay, and then of course we all know burning most fossil fuels leads to carbon dioxide, which is contributing to global warming. Questions about advantages or disadvantages of coal? Yeah. Okay, advantages of oil. So oil in its liquid form is very easy to transport. It's very energy dense. So again, oil, we use it in a lot of things because it doesn't take a lot of room for as much energy as we get it. Oil is a bit cleaner burning than coal. It's a little bit more refined. It's ideal to use for mobile combustion engines. Okay, and it produces only 85% as much carbon dioxide as coal. So it is 50% more carbon dioxide efficient than coal is, which means you're getting less into your atmosphere, which is helpful, right? Okay. Problems. Also contains sulfur, which is not good for acid rain. It's not good for your lungs. Oil may leak to the ground in the ocean when extracted. You guys, were you alive in the Exxon Mobil oil spill in New Orleans?
It sounds familiar.
I don't remember. Been in like around 2007, 2010.
What was it called?
The Exxon Mobil oil spill.
Yeah, I was actually
the Gulf of
working
Mexico.
down
Yeah, were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the worst oil spill in the United States ever.
Back when I was in my prime, playing 80 hours.
Nice.
Yeah. Part-time job.
Exxon Mobil Valdez oil spill. Okay, so tankers and pipelines may break or spill. That happens all the time. Habitats can be destroyed and mined for oil, or to create pipelines to transport it. So in your lifetime, they're trying to build the pipelines through, I believe, South Dakota, and people were upset because it was going through indigenous people's land and where their ancestors are buried. So that's very relevant, right? Okay. What? No, there's been one sooner than that. Because I wouldn't have alive during '89. Jimmy Fallon was on the air because I remember he did a really funny song about it. It's why they always say like they clean the ducks with Dawn dish soap. That's where that started. Is they were using it to get wildlife free from the big oil spills down in Louisiana. I'll look it up.
Clean the dams.
Okay. Yes, but
It started April 20th,
2010. So you guys were what? 3, 4, 5. Okay. Good. So disadvantages: oil flaring, burning off excess natural gas, leading to air pollution, and it still emits carbon dioxide even though it's less. Okay. So the biggest problem with oil extraction that I have is it damages nearby habitats. So in Alaska National Wildlife Refuge, there's a known oil reserve. It could have between 25 billion gallons and 378 billion gallons of oil ready for us to use. What is your opinion? Talk to people at your table. Should we go ahead and get it or not? Ready, go.
Well, you know what? We're all ready to, fully committed to trying. We're fully. What are we gonna do about it? Donald Trump can't exactly.
All right, and wrap up your thoughts in 3, 2, and 1. Faith, what's your table's opinion, or did you guys not agree? Okay, why should they not? Okay, wildlife refuge trying to save some species over here. What did you say?
I said, let's get that oil.
Let's get that oil. 378 billion gallons of oil in something that the United States owns. Is that going to boost our economy?
Yes.
For sure it will.
That's like one summer of oil.
1 summer?
Yeah,
That's gonna go away.
because
so
you use
fast.
4 billion gallons a day. If they get every single gallon of oil out of
Yeah. That's for the world, right?
Yeah.
So 378 billion, we could sell that.
It's gonna go
If our gas prices go down, bro.
Our gas prices would go down and we'd be selling it all off, right? So,
It's just a temporary.
well, I mean, all fossil fuels is temporary economy.
But like wildlife refuge, that's.
I'm on the wildlife side, but I can see the other side, right? Money. Like, I get it.
But he ain't touching none of that money though. Like, why he ain't touching
Exactly.
it?
He's not doing anything.
He's
No,
not
He
touching
might
it.
get-
I'm actually good at sitting maker.
He's not
He might
touching
get like
it. He's
another
not touching it.
15
No,
bucks.
And he's extracting it all himself.
I'm
Like
the
actual,
actual
like, he gets a straw and he goes. He
That's
sucks it
standard.
all out.
That's great.
He ain't
Yeah.
touching none of that.
Siphons it out. Alright. Good. So now we're on to natural gas.
We know that is.
Yep, natural gas. So extensive gas pipelines are already in place. So the United States actually has a pretty good infrastructure for our natural gas system. There are fewer impurities in coal and oil, so that means when you burn it off, you have less sulfur dioxide, less CO2. And we can also liquefy it to put and travel around the world, such as our propane tanks, right? If you have a gas grill at home, that's what it uses, natural gas. Okay? Disadvantages. So unburned natural gas, methane can be released, and that's 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Okay, so that is worse for the environment as far as greenhouse gases and warming the earth. Extraction leads to large extraction fields and might destroy habitats. So natural gas still destroying habitats. Hydraulic fracking can contaminate the water table. We'll see a image of that in just a minute, hopefully. Yeah. Okay. And will contaminate the water and the waterways. And then fracking releases a lot of VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, which evaporate quickly in the atmosphere. And I don't know if you guys heard, but like when the ozone was getting like holes in it because of hairspray, right? It's not the same thing as what's in the hairspray, but it's very similar, so it's bad for our environment, and we don't want it.
Well, why did we use hairspray?
Why did we use hairspray?
Or the one was we use hairspray.
The hairspray doesn't have the same chemicals as it used to. I think they're called like CFC, something like that. Yeah.
Did that
That's-
they also use like a it's like
True.
a really good it's
Okay, so this is how natural gas gets out. Okay, so they look for the natural gas, they find it underneath the water table, they put a pipeline down. Normally natural gas is like an artisan well where it's trying to come up, it has a lot of pressure, right? So sometimes they don't even have to dig that deep and it just goes like that. Sometimes they have to go out and get it. When they have to go out and get it, there's a good chance it's going to leak here. When it leaks here, that's going to poison all this water. Okay, a lot of times they have to use hydraulic mechanical presses. And so that's using water to bring it up. When that happens, the water it will leak back out and it's contaminated. So they're using water pressure to bring it up, but then you're ruining the water supply after that. Okay, so that's not good. But yeah, that's a good image. And then the wastewater treatment. So another issue with that is companies are not being held responsible to identifying the contaminants that they're putting back into the water through the water waste. So that means that nobody's identifying the chemicals that are being put back into the waterways that are making its way to your house when that happens. Okay? So that's an issue. They should be held responsible, in my opinion. Questions, comments, concerns? This class is really a lot of doom and gloom, isn't it? Yeah, sorry. A lot of doom and gloom.
Yeah, it's Monday.
All right. So a typical coal burning fire power plant. These are the steps. Coal is delivered to a boiler. Okay, just like when you boil noodles on the stove. Okay, you have a pot of water. You have some sort of energy source underneath it. It brings water to a boil. Okay, that energy is transferred to the water by heat. Water becomes steam. That steam turns a turbine, just like we looked at last week. That turbine is attached to a generator to produce electricity. Electricity is generated and transported along networks transmission known as electrical grid. Steam is condensed back into water and then sent to a cooling tower.
Doesn't water evaporate on its own?
Water does evaporate on its own, yes.
So why don't we just have like unlimited power?
'Cause
Capitalism.
it doesn't evaporate at a rate that would turn a turbine. Yeah, okay, so air's going through here, coal's going through here, it's setting this thing on fire, that's warming it up. Okay, it's pushing the turbine, generating stuff, it's condensed, and then we talked about cogeneration last class and how that helps conserve some of the energy efficiency. Okay, and so that you don't see that here, but they might use that to warm or cool buildings. Okay, this is the basic setup for most of your electricity or your power. This is what's changing right here. So sometimes we're going to use, instead of a water boiler, we're going to use a wind turbine, and that wind turbine is turning this generator, which is producing electricity. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how nuclear fission does that. So the nuclear fission creates energy, which still boils this water, which turns the turbine. You think we'd get away from this? Like, that seems like not a hard thing to fix, but I don't know. Okay, so from like here on, that's all the same. Okay, unless you're talking solar, and that's a little different. Okay, coal-fired power plants are not very efficient. So you can see that energy is lost in each step of the process from converting coal to electricity to hypothetical incandescent light bulbs. Okay, the second law of thermodynamics is energy and matter cannot be destroyed, they just change. Okay, and as they change, you lose a little bit along the way, right? So coal to electricity is only about 35% efficient. And then by the time it actually gets to your light bulb, it's 0.016 or 1.6% efficient. It's not very good. Okay? That just kind of shows you the efficiency. Okay, energy quality. So in the case in which energy source can be used to do work. So what is that energy being used to do? Is it actually helping us? Is it making things productive? Higher quality energy sources don't require much energy to move it to get from one place or another. So our natural gas pipelines, we would say the energy quality on that is pretty good if it's just being transported through the pipeline, because once you open that valve, it goes by itself, right? If your natural gas is being transported by truck in those propane tanks, is that high energy quality? No, because what are we using to transport it? Energy, right? We're using energy in a different form, so it's not high quality energy. Gasoline is high quality energy source due to its concentration in energy and current infrastructure to transport it. Okay? Wood is an example of a low quality because it's difficult to move, takes up a lot of room, and yeah, big log trucks have to transport across the United States. It's not very energy efficient. Okay? Questions about that? Comments, concerns? Got a good joke? Nothing? Okay. What's your joke?